Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this lovely Thursday morning. We're super glad to be here. We have Bhavani with us, who's going to be talking about accessibility testing. And just to give a short intro on Bhavani, she's been with us, she's been with Moolya for over 7 years, joined us as a fresh graduate, and is leading a great team right now. Needless to say, her experience over domains and the praise that she has received just makes her a more amazing person. A few of her achievements are customer praises. When she joined back as a fresher, she also got debut of the year. And coming from a fresh graduate to leading a team is really amazing. And today she's going to be talking about accessibility testing and covering a little bit of what we can in an hour. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Bhavani. Over to you.
Thank you, Richa. Good morning, everyone. This is Bhavani Sruti. You know me well. And who don't know me, I joined Moolya as a fresher, as Richa said, almost 7 years back. Being into a fresh college out, I didn't know what is testing actually. Moolya taught me it. Not just testing, but Moolya showed me a different way of life and the way we have an employee-centric company. So I've built a new Sruti day by day. So this is about me. And today, on the same line, this is accessibility testing that I'm going to talk about. It's a vast thing that we cannot cover it in an hour, but still to inculcate that thought and to start implementing this can be a base for us, right? Let's go ahead. Okay, so a high level content details that we are going to discuss today. Few of it is very technical and few of it is good to know that how is accessibility and why is it called so. Why should we need it actually? So that's a short content that we are going to cover today. And yes, I already told this. I love performance testing and also I'm into exploratory testing more. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so we have about 25 speakers here, 25 participants here. Let me see. Okay, I will open my chat box as well. A short, let's say it's a session wherein you close your eyes. Let me close. You close your eyes. Maybe you can turn on your videos as well. Close your eyes. On the keyboard, you are in front of your keyboard, right? On the keyboard, type in the chat what is your favorite color or a film or a food. If not anything, what's your favorite ice cream? You can type it in the chat. Close your eyes, guys. I would like to see if you can turn on your cams. Yes. You're giving it a try. Mint green. Okay. Did you type this closing your eyes? Subhajyoti?
I'm a writer. I can write with
I
closing my
know.
eyes. So
Okay.
that's cheating, really.
Blue. Okay.
It's Hebrew, what I have written.
Okay. Okay. Good to see the response. Blur. Okay. That was vanilla. Okay. Good. What was your experience doing this? Anybody can unmute and tell me?
Blank.
Blank. Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the second exercise. You have your mobiles with you? Yes. You have it right next to you? Or you can quickly grab it. Now again, don't touch your screen. Launch your most used application. Don't touch your screen. Try, give a try.
How,
No, you're
how?
not. Sruti, you're closing your eyes. Don't touch your screen. Open your eyes. That's fine. Just launch most used application.
Just ask me.
Then you can see.
Open,
That's fine.
open Facebook.
Siri just opened Instagram.
Okay. Suprita, did Insta work? Or else let's make it more easier. Unlock your screen with your hand and then launch an application without touching the screen. Maybe Siri or Google will help.
Siri should do the work.
Okay. Whoever have done it, maybe
Okay,
they should
Google.
put it in a chat which app they have
It
launched.
was easy. No, it was easy because Spotify was open beforehand only.
See, okay.
I did it.
Open
Okay.
Zomato.
I believe you're hungry.
Yeah, it opened.
It
Yes.
worked, right?
Yeah, it worked. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Had a luck? Okay. So proceeding further. Why did we do this? Any idea? I opened alarm. Okay, Ajay. Good.
Challenges.
Maybe there are few more applications that need some settings. If we double click our power button, it launches camera. Right? So something like that can also be tried. Okay, why are we doing this? If there is some person who cannot really access this software, how do they feel? Right? So let's get on to it. There's a short video I would like to play. This I always chose it because it is so touchy that I felt. Maybe you can have a look. Do you hear the volume?
We need to talk about disability.
Is the audio clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You might hear people say that disability is caused by barriers in society. But what does that actually mean? Well, think about this. If someone who uses a wheelchair can't get into a building because of some steps, is the barrier caused by the person using a wheelchair or by the design of the building? If a blind person can't read the timetable for a train, what's stopping them from getting the information they need? If a child with learning difficulties is struggling in class, is it the child's responsibility to learn in the way they are taught, or the teacher's responsibility to teach in the way that the child can understand? For years, society has viewed disability as a problem that belongs to the disabled person and said that we should focus on fixing that person's impairment.
The social model of disability says that disability results from the way society is organised, rather than by a person's impairment or difference.
There is no right or wrong way to be. We are all different. We are all unique, diverse individuals.
We need to remove the barriers that stop disabled people from participating in society fully on an equal basis with everyone else. We need to design buildings so that everyone can access them.
We need to ensure information is accessible to everyone so we can all participate in public life.
And we need to ensure that every child has the opportunity to learn and grow into the best person they can be.
When barriers are removed, disabled people can and will be equal in society,
with control over their own lives.
Not to mention all the other groups who benefit from a more inclusive and accessible society.
It's time to talk about disability differently. It's time to build our places and spaces differently. It's time to change attitudes and realise that we are all different and unique, and that an inclusive society is a better society for everyone.
Okay, so you see, right? An inclusive society is a better society, wherein we can get all kinds of people who are unique in each way, every individual to get the software, maybe not just the software, every accessible part has to be, every part of the system has to be accessible to every individual, right? So here are few statements that I have heard from people when I have connected with specially able people to test an application. Okay, so there was an application when I have met a blind person. Let's talk about what are the types of disabilities, everything later. But getting till there, we will need to understand what are the difficulties in each individual will face, right? So there was a person who asked me if when I have given her a mobile, she asked me, okay, I gave her my mobile and said, whatever you want to do, please do it with the mobile. She said, I cannot see. I want to send my location to a family. So how will she do it? She's not aware of it. Or there are some applications that don't support the location and neither the accessibility tools, right? Okay, the last statement that is stated here, this is one more that actually happened. I was testing a medical related application, medical domain application, wherein the reports are uploaded in an application. And I was testing it. But the problem with the application, it is not accessible. It is a very simple application. It is not accessible and it doesn't support any accessibility tools. Okay. When this application had gone to a patient, okay, let me tell this. If everything is fit and fine, everybody is fit and fine physically and mentally, why would they be called as a patient first of all? Right? So when there was a patient login and they reached the customer support saying that they couldn't access the app, they couldn't access the medical reports that their doctor have sent, just because they cannot see the application. They were not pretty okay with the app colors, that is not very clearly visible. Neither they cannot hear what the application, if they use any screen recorder, let's say, or screen reader, that which is not supported by this app. So here are few statements that I've collected throughout the time, and this is what they are facing it. Now let's talk about what is actually this accessibility. Why are we even talking about this today? Okay, so the first part that you say is it's very bookish knowledge, but actually speaking, the products that we create or the services that we provide, unless it is being used by every kind of people, if it is used by every kind of people, that is called accessibility, right? Out of this 1.3 billion people in world, 60% of this entire world is having some or the other kind of disability. Maybe not just one, it can be multiple. So to address all these people, and if out of this 16%, there are still 20% of people who are actually using some applications on the day-to-day life. Maybe it's booking tickets or the alarm which you have tried set, Ajay. Maybe they're using it for an alarm. That is also a software. They can use that also, right? So 20% of people are actually using softwares and they are still facing difficulties in using them. Now, getting onto the deeper part of this disabilities and understanding what needs to be addressed, first we will need to understand what are these disabilities, what kinds of it can be about, it can be in the this 1.3 billion people, like the 16% that we are talking about. So dividing them into the four major parts. The first one is visual, and the second one is hearing, and the third one can be physical or motor disabilities, and the fourth one can be cognitive. Speaking about the first one, okay. Speaking about the first one, visual, the icebreaker session that we just had, we tried being completely blind and trying to access some software or let's say type something, right? So there are different kinds of blindness again. Somebody can be completely blind, somebody can be low vision. To address individual visual problems, will be very difficult, right? So if we are building a software or if we are addressing some problem, we can address all together, right? That is what is coming under usability perspective again. So let's talk about this visual blindness first. If there is no functional visuality, like if they're completely blind, what will they use when they are using the software? Either it is they convert their text to speech, or they convert speech to text. And the second thing is they can use a braille keyboard or a braille keypad, right? Possible. So there are other assistive technologies that can assist them using any application. If there is somebody as a low vision, there are some applications like the software that can help them make the font larger, or the color. There can be also color blindness people who cannot see all the colors that are available on the screen. So there are certain guidelines also to address this visual blindness. Okay, coming on to the second one, it is hearing disability. So let me tell you, if there is some application, simple, the day-to-day app we use, the caller app. What if it doesn't support any assistive devices? If my mom call me and I am unable to hear what she's speaking because of my disability, what will I speak? How will I convey, or how will I hear what she wants to tell me? Right? That is something that is the impact of the deafness. So if there is some person like this, some individual like this, little to no hearing capacity or their ability, they rely on the sign language. Maybe I can do a video call, right? I can see her and understand her lip reading, right? So these are the solutions that we can have to each of these disabilities. And coming on to the third one, motor skills. Let me give you an example here. Recently, one of my family member have broken her leg and she cannot walk. But still, there was some unavoidable situation wherein she has to go for a shopping. Okay, I know you are laughing, but still, there was some unavoidable situation and she had gone to a shop. It was a big mall. And the problem was she cannot enter the mall because there was lift, but the path to enter the lift was very, very, very small that a wheelchair cannot go in. So they have lost a customer, right? Exactly. Speaking on to the applications, if the application is not adaptive to the keyboards or switches, eye tracking technologies like that, how will somebody who is having a motor disability use it? Right? So motor disability is nothing but it is to do with the movements of an individual. Like there might be the grip of the fingers might be very weak. There might be somebody who has a nervous weakness who cannot access the keyboards. So that comes under motor disabilities. Next comes the cognitive. From 2029, this cognitive disabilities have raised their bar, actually. Not sure about the impacts, but the stats say so that the cognitive disabilities have raised its bar. So right now there might be about 2 to 3 years, right? What if they reach their 18, 20 years and they have to use their day-to-day app? Exactly. On the same front, if the applications are supportive to this cognitive, let's say they have some learning issues, they have some memory issues, problem solving issues, or they need some intellectual disabilities, they have some, or else they have this autism problem, or there is a brain injury for them and they want to use some application as simple as a medical app, or they want to book a cab to a hospital. How will they do it? So all these has to be thought at the design level, and the usability criteria has to be met before they build any apps, right? Okay, moving on. Okay, So there are certain laws and standards that are set across 24 countries. The first two you see is for India, and there are other 24 countries. Sorry, anybody would like to speak?
No, Bhavani, that was
Okay. So these 24 countries have set certain laws and guidelines and standards when they are building any application and releasing it to the market. Right? So a few of them, the ones which we see for India, the first one, actually, there was one law that was set in 1995, which is persons with disability. They had addressed few pointers. They have provided few guidelines and pointers to avoid this discrimination, and that was replaced by Act Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act in 2016, which is also called RPD. They have provided much more details and key provisions which actually gives an application guidelines that can support this accessibility. Okay. So out of this act, there are multiple pointers that they have launched. One of it is accessibility, and this is also working towards a non-discrimination law, right? It comes under non-discrimination law type. Speaking about the second one, this is the guidelines for Indian government websites. When I was in college days, I was always pissed off with this IRCTC website. It was too slow, lagging. Whenever I click something, it reacts. I mean, it is functional, but it is not very impressive. As a user, I would think twice to reach that website, but it's a monopoly, right? It's a government website. We don't have any other means to book a railway ticket. But still, there are certain guidelines that government have defined in 2009, saying that each element of the application are defined in a specific way. It supports users who is very well, fit and fine, which also supports and user friendly who has some kind of disabilities or multiple disabilities. So this is the second point that India have brought in. This is also called GIGW, and the main point is that they have brought was website accessibility, usability, and user-centric design. So they have started thinking right about the design level. If there are any fixes or any changes right at the design level, the implementation cost would come down, right? Or the fixes cost would come down, and also the time spent. So this is the second pointer that they have given in this guidelines, that usability and user-centric design has to be implemented. Speaking about the third point, there should be a responsive design. Again, if we have fixes right at the design level, that would be better, right? And multilingual content. Just give me one moment. So let me give you an example here. I want to access my EPF site, and I'm not very comfortable with English language. So, sorry. Okay. So I will need some other language that supports me and help me use my PF account, right? So government have brought in this particular point as part of this guidelines, and they are supporting national language. And there was also topic about this search functionalities, standard compliance, and there must be an accessibility statement on every Indian government website. Saying so, they have to include what level of accessibility was included or else was implemented in the website. Okay. Apart from this, as part of this Act, there are also regular audits and monitoring done with all these websites so that they can keep a continuous check and address any problems that they're receiving from the user. Okay. Okay. Proceeding to the next topic. Why are we doing all this? Why do we need all this? Right? The first point every individual would think about when they are implementing an application. So there are certain benefits that also help an application to build and also a product to fletch, right? The first one is equal opportunities. So when there is an equal participation, like let's say we are also including that 16% of people who are disabled, other some of the other kind, and also using an application. So that is equal participation, right? This accessibility actually ensures every individual, not just disabled, but also a physically fit person, fully participate or use any application or any aspect of life, including, let me give you an example here before I complete the statement. We have seen a boy who had issues with understanding what his teacher is saying, right? He had some kind of cognitive impairment. So if we can address every individual and provide them equal opportunities, it will in turn increase our market reach. The product would reach every individual. See, another example that we can bring in here is there is this white hat junior, or else let's go with Byju's application, which is commonly used by every student, I should say, right? Not every, many students. So what if there are people who cannot use this Byju's? They are reducing their market reach, right? They are also not providing equal opportunities, which is not also ethical. So if they are implementing accessibility, some or the other kind of usability perspective into their application, and they build their application to support these people as well, then they would increase and expand their market reach, also enhance their user experience. Let me tell you a point here. So if there are captions in a video, let's take an example as Hotstar. Not everybody would go with the caption, but still the implementing captions there would really help. That would also, the first point, it would address the disability people. The second point, if I have too much noisy environment, at least I can see the captions and understand the dialogues, right? And if there is any screen reader that I'm using, maybe that will read from the caption, right? So it increases the user experience. It has a great impact on the user experience. And the fourth point is SEO and web visibility. Why are we saying this SEO? How would accessibility improvise our website or a product's SEO? Or the SEO is nothing but the search criteria. When I'm searching for, let's say I'm searching for a play school, okay? There are certain results that we see on Google. That is where we go to, right? So it depends on the location, it depends on the rating, it depends on the reviews. So there are certain criteria Google use, and it brings us onto the top of the list, right? So if we are using certain terms like let's say the alternative text or something like this, the more hits on any web page or the products would also result in getting our entry to the top of the list, right? So it would increase our web visibility, our products web visibility, I should say. And as just discussed, legal compliance and penalties are very high, mostly onto the Western countries, if accessibility criteria are not met. And let me tell you, if there is any person who is disabled and claim that, or file a case saying that I cannot use this application because of my disability, and this application is not answering or addressing my problem, they would really need to pay a very high penalty. So before getting onto that state, it is always good to think about the legal compliance and the legal perspectives and implement that so that we can avoid that potential penalties and get out of that and have a good branding. That is the next point. The positive branding and reputation. If you remember, the CRED have claimed that their application is accessible and there was huge response to it. And the same thing, innovation and creativity. Thinking about all these perspectives, every person can be creative and start innovation and start implementing different perspectives in the app, which also increases user experience, right? So this is about the benefits of the accessibility, and there are methods that are essentially essential for identification and addressing these barriers first, and then also might prevent this disabled people from using the application. Let's get on to the methods now. First, do simple division. Either it is through manual testing or through automated testing. Why am I speaking about testing here? Before I was speaking about design, right? If that is missed at the design level, it would be missed at the development level as well. Now there comes the testing, right? In the cycle. Why don't we think about accessibility and give them suggestions back, right? It is always possible to it is always possible to hold at certain level, raise a voice, tell that this is important. What is the impact that if we don't implement this, how would it cost to the company or the product? And then we can speak about it. And that's why I have brought this topic about testing methods and basic checks that we can do at the testing level. And if it is good to go, yes, we can always appreciate it. If it is not, there are some changes needed, we can always raise an alert back. Right? And first, the testing methods, manual and automated testing. Let me speak about manual testing first. This is a simple check that we can do along with our functional testing, like the exercise we have done, keyboard testing. You can type in something, but how will you know that the words you have typed is right? If you see your keyboard, you will have a small dash on F and J letters. You see it? Maybe you can comment and tell me. Do you see it? Yes. Okay. So any person who is not very fit with or having a visual disability, start their fingers right from this F and J letters. Then they go across the keyboard. That is how they learn what are the letters that are available on the keypad and help typing. If it is a Braille keyboard, they have a different set of touch pads that we can say, or the way we had dash here, the Braille keyboard would be different. Okay, and another manual check we can do is the screen reader testing. Now, right now, how many of you have launched applications that you want over a mobile by just speaking? It's also a test that we can do. If I want to launch any testing application, let me say I'm testing Hotstar, and I want to launch it on the mobile app without touching the screen. So that is also some kind of check I'm doing at a user level, let's say. And also, if I'm using a Hotstar application, we have just spoken about the captions, right? It can be helpful for any kind of people. If I am disabled and I cannot read a small text, small font, there must be some check at a testing level that I can do. What if it supports a zoom in, zoom out levels, or if there is a high contrast on the screens? So these kind of simple checks that can be done at a manual testing level and also can help and increase the usability perspective. If there are some form field testing, like if there are labels, alternative text, or input elements, we can check all from our dev tools, right? Simple checks that can be done along with our functional testing. If there is a banner and that banner don't have any alternative text, what will my screen reader read? It will read as no label. Does that make any sense? When I am a blind person and when I want to hear something, right? So these are four basic things that can be covered under manual testing. Let's go to automated testing. What are there under automated testing? There are wide range of tools available in the market. And also there is inbuilt tools, either it is mobile or web application. Let's talk about it in some time. But if to highly segregated, there are browser developer tools, which can help us understand what are the criteria that we are missing under accessibility perspective in any application. Okay, these are some more further divided testing methods, I can say. Usability testing, wherein we sit with the user with disabilities and understand what is their life problems. The first statements we saw in the second or third slide, you remember? Those was made when this testing was done, actually. When I sat with people who had multiple disabilities, not just one, there was person who cannot see and hear, but still they are using the applications for something or the other. There are special schools who they reach out and still they are continuing their education. They have not given up, though they are fighting with all these disabilities. Some kind of support for them would really get our products to a different level, right? So there are also mobile accessibility testing that we can talk about. We will talk about it in some time. Assertive technology compatibility testing. We were also talking about the screen reader, talkback, voiceover, Siri, Google. All these are some of the other kind of assertive technologies. Okay, these are the basic checks, the other two columns that you see, which can be done and also will have an impact on the accessibility testing. This keyboard navigation we just speak about. If there is any form, let's say a simple Google form, imagine it doesn't support tab. How will I go to the next field in the form? Right, this check also can be done. It's very simple, right? Not much setup, prerequisite, all these are not rated. It's a simple text, simple keyboard navigations. This can also be used when you're testing any application. And let's take an example as login. I have typed in my username. I want to go to the forgot password, or I want to go to the password field. Should the tab work? Simple check, right? So such kind of keyboard navigations, select all these shortcuts can be tested as a basic check. And the screen reader, we have already spoken about it. Color contrast. Let me tell you an example here. My mom, she uses her mobile after 10 o'clock too much, because that is the free time she gets, and she always complains about having this high contrast levels on the game she plays, right? So that game was uninstalled and she installed a different game which has good color levels, but that particular application that was uninstalled had lost a customer. True. And alternative text images, we have just spoken about it, and also forms. Focus and interactions. There are applications, inbuilt apps in the mobile. If you see, there is an accessibility setting. We will get to it in some time. There is a setting that we can focus on particular region of the application and then start interacting with it. If it is a long tap, or unless there is a long tap, the application doesn't react. These are all the settings that we have. Let's speak about it in a while. Yeah, keyboard shortcuts, we just spoken about it. Resizable text, responsible design, video and media content, we have spoken about it. Focus on cognitive accessibility, browser and assertive technologies, language. We had seen an example of EPF site, right? Let's go to the next one. Okay, speaking about all this, there are different platforms, different users, different individuals using different applications in different perspectives. Too many different, right? How will we test? I always had this question: how do I choose a device when I'm testing it? Should I go with the latest used version, like Android or iOS version, or latest used browser version? How will I make this choice? How will I make choice on OS? Let's say I'm testing Uber application. Whether I have to test it on Android or iOS. How many devices? If I have to test a browser application, let's say the same app that I'm using for my presentation, Canva, what browser I should use? Is it an incognito mode? Is it a Chrome? Is it a Firefox? What should be my screen size? How will my audience see it? If they're connected over a mobile, how will they see my presentation? Is it broken somewhere? Too many questions, right? So when we divide them across and speak about these platforms, there are certain criteria that accessibility also has to be tested on different platforms. Let's address that first. We will talk about devices. Let's consider iPhone. First, that is what is listed here. iPhone, which is supported by Apple, has this set of own rules and guidelines that are to be met when they're releasing any app to the market or to the Play Store, let's say. So, same to do with the Android and desktop applications. They have their own set of guidelines provided, and to the latest when we talk about this WCAG guidelines, we will get to know certain guidelines that are provided commonly across all the platforms. Let it be whatever OS it is, whatever browser or whatever screen size it is. So all these standards were given by WCAG. Okay. Okay, now we are talking about mobile applications in specific. So these are certain standards that were set. The first one, WCAG, whatever you see, this is an initiative that was given by W3C. Okay. This primarily focuses on the web content. Definitely, by the name itself, you can understand, right? But there are certain criteria and principles that they have given that can be applied on the mobile apps as well. Let me tell you an example. So there is one criteria that the zoom level have to go up to 200%. So if you quickly navigate to the zoom level of your browser, you will see the 200% as the maximum size. Right. So certain criteria which are implemented on the web content accessibility guidelines can also be implemented on the mobile apps for a better usage. The second one you see here, mobile accessibility guide standards and guidelines. This is shortly called as MASG. This provides various guidelines like touch, gestures. There are some assistive technologies that can be specifically used on the mobile applications. So all these guidelines are provided under this MASG. So moving on to this iOS accessibility guidelines, iOS and Android have also provided set of guidelines that are to be met for any app before they are released into the market. This session 508 that we are seeing here is actually a US federal law that was given in US. So if there is some application that have come for you from a Western country, they will follow these guidelines. It is always good to know what is their application being implemented under, and also it is for their government apps. Just give me one moment. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. So if you're testing any US application, government application in specific, they have set of guidelines set under Session 508, which are high standards set for their apps. And it is always good to know when we are testing such application. The same with EM, it is European standards and are well defined. It's each point defines right from the label till end of text messages, everything is covered under their guidelines. So this is ISO, which is an international standard that also provides right from the design level that can be implemented for the user interface. Okay, at the ending, we already have the App Store requirements that has to be met both by Google and Apple. Any individual who want to push their application to the stores, they have to meet these requirement criteria. And as said, each app and each user is unique, and they asking for a feedback is nothing wrong. So we do ask for the feedback, right? When we are attending interviews or when we are interacting with managers, either it is good or bad, we would love to know. The same thing can be done here. If an individual who have implemented an application or a company which have built a big product, it's okay for them to get in touch with the user who is actually using it with a disability, having a disability and using an application. What are the troubles they are facing? It is always good to know the feedback from them and would really help us improve the apps. Now let's go on to the web app accessibility. Now we have spoken about the mobile app, right? Now switching on to the web application. Again, the first one is WCAG. This is completely onto the web content. What set of guidelines have to be provided? There was 2.0 which was given before, and 2.1 which is the latest version, and that also included this mobile impacts, right? Yeah, mobile guidelines. So and this let's go to the session 508 and EN. This is for US and this is EN. European countries, they have also provided set of guidelines to the web apps, not just onto the mobile, but onto the web applications as well. These three. Again, this is international standard. Accessible rich internet applications, it's shortly called as ARIA, wherein you would have seen this attribute somewhere or the other. So these are set of attributes that can be added to our HTML pages to improve this content. The dynamic content can be really improved with this implementation. So regular audits and updates that we have just spoken about. Conducting regular audits. Indian government regularly does this. They conduct regular audits onto the accessibility perspective, and they keep updating their websites. This was a recent change that have brought in, not very recent, it is 2009, but still, yeah, they are doing it. Whenever they get some feedback onto the accessibility level, they make sure that some or the other implementation is made. Okay. Now coming on to, now we have got some good gyan, let's say, on to what is accessibility, why do we need this, what are the benefits of doing it, is how do we test it, what are basic checks that we can do, all this onto the other side. There are certain set of tools. I always tell this, tool is like a coconut. Many of you would have already heard this, but still forgive me for telling this again and again. Either you give it to a person who can make a sweet out of it and well use it, or you give it to a monkey who can break anybody's head. Tool is available. The way you use it is what the fruits are. Okay. So here are a few popular tools and open source tools. Some of them are open source, which can be, which acts as a plugin or a toolkit or let's say are very handy and can actually have an impact. It can actually generate a report and give you what are accessible and what are not, what are the guide with respect to a certain checklist. They provide you guidelines, which this again they validate against this checklist. If there are any issues that are not covered under manual tests, it will cover under their automation runs or the scans, I should say. Okay, let's speak about few of this. Not everything can be covered right now. The first one is wave extension tool, which tool itself is accessibility supportive tool. It is a simple plugin. You can have it on your Chrome browser, and one single scan can give you a report generated on a web page. Let me tell you an example here. There was a security scanner I was running on an app, and it detected a 16-digit number on my web page, and it says it's my credit card number. Should I go with it? Let me say all the 16 digits are zero. Is it a valid defect that is identified by the tool? No, right? So we have to look into each issue and understand the context, whether does that fix into our context or not, then take a call. If we go with the simple scan report and say, if the scan report is saying there are 100 issues on your one web page, so and so banner is not having the label, it might be worth implementing a alternative text for the banner. There might be a button which has a label, and there is a button which is not very clickable, right? So all these perspectives has to be considered, and then evaluate the scan report, and then understand what is the impact of implementing this, and also what is the cost of implementing this. Okay. And this is another tool that is available, WCAG, or Accessibility Audit Developer UI. So this helps us understand the same criteria. Like there are certain guidelines given as an input, and they do validate against their checklist and give us a report on it. Okay. Simple tools, not much details needed, but you can still generate a report and try understanding from it. How many of you use this developer tools that is available on the inspect element developer tools that we always use, right? Network tab. Maybe you can type in. Okay, I don't see any response. Yes, okay. Thanks, Akshay. So developer tools, there is also an inbuilt plugin, I should say, as Lighthouse, which gives us a very quick report on accessibility for a given URL. Okay, we can again validate it. That is again the same story. We have to look into the issues that are given and check whether that is valid or not, and then provide necessary details and recommendations. But still, this is what is available. We can also implement this accessibility right at the API level. Let's not discuss in deep about it right now, but still we do have something like that. And the color contrast analyzer helps us analyze the contrast levels, whether they are evenly distributed across the screen. A quick check on it as well. The screen reader, we've spoken about it, right? We've spoken about it. This whether the content on the screen, what if I select the screen and ask my screen reader to read it? Or are all the words good enough to understand? If R is pronounced as end, what is the use? Right? So screen reader. Android Studio also supports accessibility test when we are testing on the Android applications. This is a simple scanner, accessibility scanner. Again, that gives out of this, all this, Wave is most used, that the stat says, not me, because that the guidelines that they are working upon is defined directly by W3C. With the way they have implemented is the most of the guidelines are from WCAG. Okay, and last but not least, every platform, let's consider mobile apps, let's say either it is Android or iOS, have their own inbuilt applications. Like if you quickly navigate to settings and see whatever the platform it is, you will have an option as accessibility. How many of you have really used it? Because we don't need it. No, right? When we are testing the applications, if we enable these options and see how is the app behaving, that would really matter a lot. There are certain applications, believe me, that doesn't support any of these options that are available, and it is of no use when they are sending it to a market. Okay, these are certain tools. And let's speak about the checklist. A simple checklist wherein we can check about alternatives, auditory and visual content, just not to rely on the color. So if you are seeing this presentation very impressive, there might be some people who doesn't see these colors. For them, maybe it's black and white, right? So don't rely alone on the colors. Understand the content of it, whether it is good to go or not. So if you're using any markup or style sheets and do so properly. So if you are using any styles on the sheets or onto the products, how are these styles impacting? Are they also having some impact on the performance of the application? Worth thinking, right? And natural language usage. What if I'm not comfortable with English? I can go with Hindi, better, national language. So there must be some support at the lingual state as well. Tables. Okay, try this exercise. Open an Excel. You can do it offline as well. Type something. Turn on the screen reader. Different rows, different columns. Give some data. See how the screen reader reads it. Is it reading row 1, row column, so and so, ABC is there, row 1, row 2? How is a blind person imagining that Excel sheet, and is he or she able to understand what is there exactly at a what column or a row? Right? We cannot say that they are not using Excel or any form of table content. Okay. So there are technologies that can be taken as help, and actually use assertive technologies that we have spoken about. So that is one more thing that we can think about when we are building our checklist. This can be elaborated. Each point of it can have its own checkpoints, but it is a high level checklist that can be considered. W3C technologies and guidelines, which we have spoken about. There are certain guidelines that are given by them. Orientation. My grandma always asks me, she is not comfortable with portrait mode. She always used the mobile in landscape mode. So when she is shifting that orientation, there are certain applications that the content on the screen is broken. It is a functional issue, or is it an accessibility issue? Think about it. Okay. Clear navigations. Documents are to be clear and simple, should be supportive to the all assertive technologies. Let's say there is a document there is a legal document on the application. If I am a deaf person and I would like to hear it with my assertive device, the app must be supportive, mobile must be supportive. It should be connected either to through some means, either a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi or a connector. Something has to be supported that I can clearly hear it, right? So such checks also can be made. Okay. So here I end. Thank you very much for giving your time, and also Moolya for giving me this opportunity.